everyone, welcome back to Kidding Around. My name is Melanie Smith and I think it is totally terrific that you are here with me on another Test Tube Tuesday. Today we'll be talking about steamboats and you'll get a chance to make your own. Before we do that though, if you like what you're seeing here and want to follow along with all of Kidding Around's videos, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also below each video click the thumbs up button. Thank you very much. Okay, so on to steamboats. Have you ever seen a steamboat? What do you know about them? So this is a picture of a steamboat. They were actually invented in the late 1700s and they were used in the 1700s and 1800s. They were used as a way to transport goods and people from place to place. I want you to imagine a world without cars and a world without planes. How would you get around? Well, I'll tell you that people in the 1700s got around by walking, by riding on horses, and sometimes by traveling by a horse-drawn carriage. So you can imagine that was slow and dusty and hard. So when this steamboat came out and was able to move large numbers of people and bigger pieces of freight and cargo, it was a huge invention and it changed the world. So looking at this steamboat, you will notice this big wheel in bag. Steamboats are known for those big wheels, and the way that it works is that the engine is steam powered and the engine turns that paddle, which then propels the boat forward. So here's a picture of a more modern steamboat. Steamboats aren't actually used too much anymore for transportation of people or goods. There are still a few that are still operating, but they really just exist for people, for tourists who want to go on board and ride around on a dinner cruise just to see what it was like to ride on a steamboat. It's very fun, but it's not nearly as effective as our current modes of transportation. And speaking of that, the reason that the steamboats fell into disuse was because of the train. Both trains and steamboats were being built about the same time, but as soon as the train was able to harness the steam technology from the steamboat, it became much more useful than the steamboat because it could go anywhere. It was not bound by the waterways. It could go north, south, east, west, anywhere there was land. It also wasn't as affected by weather patterns. So even though the steamboat technology was ultimately replaced, I'm sure that you can understand the importance of the steamboat as it actually moved us from a culture of people who walked and used horses to a culture of people who could then travel and trade across thousands of miles. So we are going to honor that steamboat technology today and make our own steamboat. I do want to be careful. It's actually not powered by steam, but it is powered in much the same way that a steamboat was. Okay, so in order to do that, you'll need a few materials. You will need an old water bottle or soda bottle with the cap on. You will also need 2 wooden skewers. You'll need 2 plastic spoons, a ruler, a rubber band, some duct tape, and some heavy-duty scissors. These scissors will be used to cut these spoons, so make sure that you have some really strong scissors. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that you are going to do is tear or cut some pieces of duct tape so they are very easy to grab when you need them. I'm going to tear just a few pieces and tape them here to the side of my desk so that I can easily grab them. You can also cut the duct tape if it's easier for you to do that. All right, and then we're going to take our water bottle and we are going to tape these skewers to the water bottle. Actually, we're going to tape the sharp point to the water bottle and we're going to make sure that at least 6 inches of the skewer sticks out from the back of the bottle. You can see there I'm over 6 inches, so I'm good. And then I'm going to take that piece of tape that I just tore off and I'm going to cover the sharp part of the skewer. And then I'm going to do that with the other skewer opposite the first skewer. So just on the other side, there we go, and then I will tape that skewer there. Okay, once you have those secured, then I would take another couple pieces of tape and just secure the skewers to the water bottles, to the water bottle. You only have one, right? Okay. Once you've done that, you will take your spoons and you're going to cut off this bowl part of the spoon. That's what I'm going to call the actual part that you would put in your mouth. We'll call it a bowl. So I'm going to cut it off the stick of the spoon. I'm going to leave about a ½ inch past the bowl before I cut. And guess what? When you cut things like that, they go all over. So I've just lost the bowl of the spoon. I'm going to go get it. And please use this as an example to be very careful when you're cutting things like that. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back and I have the top of the spoon that I was telling you about. Now I'm going to cut the other one and hopefully I won't lose that one as well. All right, I'm going to cut it very carefully. There we go. These are actually spoons that we have used, so they're different, so you can definitely see that they cut differently. So be very careful when you cut your spoons. Some will be easier to cut than others. Some might get kind of jaggedy. Just be careful. This one has a little jagged edge, so I wouldn't want you to cut yourself, so be aware of that. So now that I have my spoons cut, I am going to connect them to make that big wheel that goes in the back of the Steamboat. To do that, I'm going to take some duct tape, and I actually only need about half the width of this duct tape. So I am going to tear it down the middle. Of course, you can cut that too if it's easier. And then I'm going to connect my spoons, but I want to make sure that they're not going the same way like that. I want one to go one way and the other to go the other way. And this is going to make that wheel in the back of the Steamboat that pushes the boat forward. All right, so you connect them just by taping the two little sticks that are still attached to the bowls of the spoon, just like that. Then you're going to take your rubber band and you're going to put your rubber band between, or I guess over, the two skewers at the back of your boat. You see how that looks like a boat already? You could actually paint this and design this to look truly, truly like a boat if you wanted to. And then we're going to take our spoons and we're going to slide them in between the two pieces of rubber band, and then you're going to spin the spoons backwards. This is just to test it to make sure that it will work well. Once you spin them, let them go and see if they freely move. If they freely move, you are good to go. And we're going to go put this in some water so that you can see what happens when it's actually in water. But if they don't freely move, if they hit the skewers, or if you wrap it so tight that the rubber band starts pulling the skewers in, maybe take out the spoons and try it again. You want it to look about like this. You will start to feel a little bit of tension between the rubber band and the skewers, but not a lot. You don't want so much tension that you're starting to pull those skewers in. All right, and then here's my last test. We'll make sure it works. It looks good. It didn't hit anything. I think we're ready for the water. Okay, so as I mentioned, our boat is now water ready. This is my daughter Kennedy, and she has agreed to help me because I only have one set of hands. So she's going to show us how the boat is supposed to work. As you can see, we are in our bathroom right now, and we have drawn a bath for our boat. You can do the same thing at your house. You can use your bathtub or a deep sink, or even a big plastic container full of water will work. Just make sure that you have about 4 or 5 inches of water before you start. Otherwise, the spoons may hit the bottom and that will stop your boat from working. Okay, so she is going to show us how to wind up the boat. You can see she's holding the bottle in one hand and she is flipping the spoons backwards with the other. This may be easier to do with 2 people, so maybe you can enlist someone from your house if it's a little bit too difficult to do. You can also see that the spoons that she is winding the rubber band around are in the middle of the 2 sticks, and the rubber band is also very much in the middle of the intersection of the 2 spoons. You want to make sure to do that, otherwise your spoons might get caught on the stick as you let it go in the water. All right, well, it looks like she is water ready. So Kennedy, go ahead and release it. And there it goes. Maybe next time, Kennedy, why don't you spin it up just a little bit more? Finding the right balance of the tension on here can be a little bit tricky. So make sure to test and experiment. That's all what science is about. So you can spin the spoons until you start to see the sticks move in a little bit. If they move in a little bit, that's great. If they move in too much, you'll start to notice that they might impede the spoons. If you see that, just let them go a little bit. But if you don't do it enough, it won't go far enough. So see, there we go. And you can see it even has enough momentum. Even if it hits the side of the tub, it turns and continues on moving. All right, Kennedy, I'd like you to just keep doing it over and over again. I'm going to talk a little bit about the science behind this. Okay, so we were talking about steamboats. Do you want to know how this relates to that? Because this is clearly not a steamboat, but this boat has the same mechanics of a steamboat. Those spoon propellers are the same as that big wheel that we saw in the picture of the steamboat. So in a steam-powered paddle boat, an engine would turn that paddle wheel. But in this version, your rubber band is acting like your engine. So when you twist the paddle, you give it potential energy, which is energy ready to go. When you release it, that energy changes to kinetic energy or active energy. As the rubber band untwists, it turns the boat's paddles, and the paddles push against the water and cause the boat to move forward. So hopefully you can see the parallels between the steam-powered boat and your non-steam, but similarly powered boat here. All right, I'm going to ask Kennedy to wind us up for one final sunset sail. As she's doing that, I want to let you know that I would love to see videos of your boats in action. Please ask your parents to post those videos to our Facebook site. All right, and here is our final sail. And there we go, looks like sunset to me. We hope you've had fun doing this project with us. We know we've had a blast. Thanks so much for kidding around with us. We will see you next time.
Bye.